Raila Odinga's march to State House is unstoppable. And I strongly believe that Raila Odinga will easily become the next president of the Republic of Kenya. But Raila Odinga is facing two major headaches. And if he can address those headaches, in my view, nothing is going to stand between him and the presidency. The first headache which Raila Odinga has to deal with is the choice of his running mate. Who will be Raila Odinga's running mate in 2022? Several factors will determine that person. Maybe a Kikuyu, and there are several reasons why that person should be a Kikuyu. Maybe Kalonzo Musyoka, maybe a woman. There are several other factors, both advantage and disadvantage. So the choice of a running mate will determine whether Raila Odinga will become the next president or not. The second factor, in my view, is the nominations within the ODM party. How will Raila Odinga handle the nomination process within his party? Today, in this video, I want us to look at how ODM nominations can actually cost Raila Amolo Odinga the presidency, if he's not careful. But before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, I want you to take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. I want to ask you just to give the video thumbs up. Click give the video thumbs up, drop your comment, and for those who can, please share this video. Now, the elephant in the room, the ODM nominations. Anybody who has been following the ODM politics for a long time will agree that the elephant in the room is the nomination. ODM numbers in parliament has consistently been reducing. Why? Because of ODM nominations. I want to use the case of Kisumu County. That's where I come from. In Kisumu County, we have 7 constituencies, for example. Out of those 7 constituencies, 2 were won by people who are not in ODM. Kisumu Town West was won by Olagalwach, not for the first time, but for the second time, on a different ticket. And again, in this election, Olagalwach is going to defend this seat not through ODM party. Then Kisumu Town East, Shakil Shabir also won as an independent candidate. You go to Homa Bay, that was 6 piece, because I think the nominations were managed well. You go to Migori, there was independent guy, Masera, was an independent, won through independent. But there are several MCA seats which went to independents. But this time around, most people expected the ODM party, for example, to conduct credible nominations. And Raila Odinga and the party decided to disband the previous board because they wanted to do a better job. So most aspirants invested their money, their time, and resources in campaigns because the NEB, led by Catherine Muma, consistently assured the ODM supporters and members that they were going to do a better job. Otherwise, if that assurance did not come, I can assure you very few people would have expressed their interest on contesting as ODM party. As ODM candidates. Even right now, I know so many people, some are even my friends, who told me they're not going to run as ODM. I'm talking of Nyanza, for example. They're not running on ODM. They'll be waiting for the candidates, ODM candidates, for ODM to conduct their nominations. Then they'll come up. So Raila Odinga is facing major headache on how he's going to deal with the nominations. If you go to Mombasa County, for example, there is the Mvita Member of Parliament, Honorable Nasir, versus Suleiman Shebal. How ODM will conduct its nomination there and arrive at a candidate is going to determine the outcome. The voter turnout in Mombasa. You go to Kisumu. In Kisumu, Professor Nyong'o might not have a serious candidate, serious opponents, but at the Senate, I'm told there is Professor Tom Ojianda and there is Rose Nyamunga. But the party is preferring Rose Nyamunga, while Ojianda is actually over 60% based on ODM parties' own opinion polls. You go to Homa Bay. Homa Bay was going to be a big problem because there was Mbadi, who is the ODM chairman, running. There was Gladys Wanga, who was the front runner. Then there was Uyugi Magwanga and others. Then finally, in my view, Homa Bay, if you ask me, was managed well by ODM party. And I had thought that they were going to extend the same strategy on other parts. In Homa Bay, the first thing they did was to convince Mbadi as the chairman not to pull out of the race. So Mbadi pulled out in favor of Gladys. Then, because Gladys was ahead of the opinion polls, and that's exactly what ODM wanted. If you're ahead of the opinion poll by 10%, then you are given. Then they looked for the second person, who was now Uyugi Magwanga, and they paired them together. But Kidero is coming as an independent candidate. And they ground there because, Luos in general are people who are rebellious by nature. So most people are not sympathetic to Kidero just because of that rebellion. But let us wait and see how things are going to unfold, because in Homa Bay, for example, I strongly believe that a combination of Gladys Wanga and Uyugi Magwanga will send Evans Kidero to Gemasumbi. Then you go to Migori. Not much, but again, there's a problem there. Then you go to Busia. There is, in Busia, there is Florence Mutua versus Paulo Tuoma. How will ODM manage those nominations? Then if you come down at the constituency level, that's where the problem is. The ODM party yesterday, for example, met with the aspirants from Homa Bay, Kisumu, and was it Kisii or Nyamira? They met. And then ODM party decided that majority of members of parliament were popular. I can assure you that's not the truth. The truth of the matter is that nationally, over 80% of sitting members of parliament never make it back to parliament. So there is a feeling among supporters that the sitting members of parliament are being favored. So how is this nomination process going to affect Raila Odinga? So far, ODM party has conducted, we must give credit where it's due. So far, ODM party has conducted nominations in, I think, Taita Taveta, Kwale. Today they are in Nyamira and in Kilifi, peacefully using electronic devices digitally, which is very smooth. But how will this nomination affect Raila Odinga's presidency? The first thing is that Raila Odinga might experience serious voter apathy in his strongholds. If ODM nominations will be bungled in Busia, in Nyanza, at Coast, serious voter apathy is going to be experienced. So Raila Odinga must figure out how he's going to balance the nomination. Of course, if you look at the ODM constitution, it's very clear on how nominations can be done. There is number one option is the direct nomination, in which the party decides that in this area we are giving this person the ticket because of reason A, B, C, D. Mostly it's because only one candidate. Like for example, in Ugunja, Opiyo Wandayi is the sole ODM candidate. No any other person expressed interest. So Wandayi is going automatically. For example, you go to Rongo, where Polabor also doesn't have opponents within ODM, so it's also going directly. So there's that option of direct nomination. ODM can also decide that because so and so has put so much effort on the party, then that person deserves direct nominations. So that's always acceptable, and I can assume that's how they arrived at the CI1. The second option for them is normally the delegates, where party delegates, officials, are the ones to choose the candidates. The fear here is normally that people with deep pockets can easily manipulate the delegates. But it's also a process. It's also one of the best strategies in my view. It's also one of the best methods in my view. The third one is normally the universal suffrage, in which every party member or registered voters are allowed to go and vote for the person of their choice. That is what most people always assume to be the only method of nominations. And the last one is now the consensus, where You bring the candidates together and ask them that because of reason A, B, C, D, we feel that you guys need to agree. So amongst them, they'll agree that, okay, let's this person have it. But it can't work because people have spent their time, they've spent their money campaigning. Campaigns is a very tiring job. So consensus is also part of it. So in this election, if ODM as a political party is not careful, their stronghold is going to experience serious voter apathy. And something will have to be done. In the last election, that voter apathy was almost experienced. But Raila Odinga intervened by creating the Nyanza presidential campaign team, a campaign team which was focusing primarily on Nyanza. So you were wondering why a presidential candidate in the name of Raila Odinga would focus his attention in Nyanza, spend resources, while those resources could have been used elsewhere. So voter apathy in Raila Odinga's stronghold will definitely affect Raila Odinga's bid, because Raila Odinga needs the numbers. Ruto is not sleeping. He's monitoring every other thing. In fact, the fire we are seeing in Nyanza, in my view, could be ignited by someone called William Ruto. So that's number one. Number two, and this is serious, if Raila Odinga is not careful, his ODM party will get fewer members of parliament. It has been reducing and is going to go further. The only cure to those numbers was the free, fair, and credible nominations. So that you don't have, in my county of Kisumu, you don't have 2 members of parliament elected on another ticket. You go to Migori, you get someone. You go to Alego, Songa, you get someone. You go to Bosia, for example, you get independents. You go to Coast, you get independents. Fewer members of parliament. Of course, he can rule. Raila Odinga doesn't need ODM members to rule. If he's declared the president, he will rule. Yeah, and those who will come through other parties will actually be loyal to him. But the fact is, he should allow himself to go to that direction. ODM needs to survive. ODM needs the money, political parties funding, which can only be good enough if they have enough members of parliament. In DRC, for example, Shekedi is ruling with 30 members of parliament in a parliament of 500 members. In Congo, they have 500 members of parliament. So his party has only 30, but he's ruling. So Raila Odinga can also rule like that, but you need numbers, strong numbers, for you to even push your party's agenda. So that's only possible if the elections were to be seen to be free, fair, and credible. I don't understand why someone would convince ODM supporters that, so-and-so is more loyal and therefore will fight for Raila Odinga when Raila Odinga is a president. I don't think so. Number 3 is that Raila Odinga will now have to spend more of his time and resources campaigning in his stronghold. If you've studied William Ruto stopped campaigning in Rift Valley long time ago. In Nyanza, Raila Odinga will have to go to Siaya to help Orengo. He will have to come to Kisumu to help Nyong'o, especially if the nominations at the lower level will be messed up. He will have to go to Migori to help Uchilo. He will have to go to Homa Bay to help Gladys. That's something which Raila Odinga didn't need. Raila Odinga just needed to manage the nominations process the way William Ruto has managed his. Where he needed direct nominations, he would have sat with those people, agreed, then everybody on board. Then if 2 or 1 person is rebelling or 2, it's okay, but the rest are towing the line. And lastly, Raila Odinga is going to lose the ideals which ODM party stands for, which is democracy. ODM was perceived, or has always been perceived, to be the democratic party in this country. So if we are going to have a botched nomination, where, for example, someone like Ojenda is leading by 60%, and you bring Nyamunga, who is at 39%, then there's a problem. You go and just decide that, okay, in Homa Bay, all members of parliament, the sitting members of parliament are popular. While we know some of these people are our friend, we know. In Migori, I can tell you those will easily win. On ODM, ticket. Polabor was destined to win. He has worked. Nyamita will easily win in Uriri. Junet will easily win in Suna East. Yeah, even Odinga is not doing bad. You go to Homa Bay, there are serious problems there because some members of parliament even had big problems in the last election. So let us wait and see. But in my view, I think the ODM nomination is now going to be a big problem for Raila Odinga moving forward. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day. Bye-bye.